Hey ho everyone, and welcome to this manager interview featuring Aberforth from the Choice Bandits. How are you today?
Hello, I'm pretty good, thanks. It's quite late. After this, I'll be heading off to bed pretty much immediately, I think. So yeah, but glad to be able to do it.
Yeah, so could you tell us a bit about yourself and your assistant manager?
Sure. I mean, I think me and Oreo are almost two extreme opposites here. I've been around on Smogon since late 2014. Oreo is much newer to the Ubers community. Oreo was like 6 years old when I joined the Ubers community. I took 2 years off, but otherwise I've been around pretty much every year since then. Um, I've led the Ubers community for the last 3 years alongside FC. I love Sword and Shield. Uh, I do not understand any gen prior to the introduction of the fairy type, but uh,
Oh,
I still enjoy the Ubers community and the people who do play those, and I'm very proud of what we've managed to do as a community and what we're doing in UPL.
alright, that's great to hear. So, how did the draft go for you? I mean, you didn't attend at the draft, I believe it was 1 a.m., so your assistant manager, Oreo, has been doing all that for you. Did you get all the players you wanted?
I was actually in call with Oreo for a fair bit of the draft,
Huh.
and I left the draft close to around 3 a.m. my time when I was just completely unable to reasonably think. Like you're hearing me now and how distracted I sound. This is me at 9 p.m. You can imagine me at 3 a.m. I'd be useless. But we managed to get a lot of what we wanted from the draft. Um, Kebab in particular, or Kebebe. I call him Kebab because it's funny to me. I do that for a lot of names. I apologize, but he is incredible at BW, and I knew going into the tour that I wanted to team up with one of Hack or Kebebe, and we pushed Hack to 27k. We wanted March Fires, but we weren't going to get March Fires for 34k, and I'm just very pleased with how the team has come out. It seems like fantastic environment to be in. Just in the few days since the draft concluded, everyone seems to be getting along. There's a lot of good banter, so I'm very pleased because that's kind of what we were going for going into the draft. We were looking to try and make sure we'd be getting an environment in which everyone was going to have a good time in.
Alright, so could you tell us a bit about your lineup?
Sure. So, uh, obviously, as mentioned before, Kabebe is going to be BWing. I expect to see 12 lines from Kabebe in the entire chat, the entire tournament, but I expect most of them to be links to games that he wins. So, I think Kabebe in BW is just a no-brainer. We have got a fair amount of flexibility in the rest of our draft. T-Town 6, again, he'll be RBYing for the vast majority of the tour, but the Strap is incredibly versatile, Trade is incredibly versatile, Vileman's incredibly versatile, Aurora is one of our subs, she's also incredibly versatile, and we've got the flexibility to move people around in the event that anyone is just having a bad time or wanting to try something else. I intend to be in SS most weeks of the tour, but again, like if I'm not doing brilliantly or if someone else wants to change what tiers they're playing, that's not necessarily a given either. And one of the things going into the draft is that we wanted to get as many active players as possible. Um, because I've had experiences on team tours before where I've been trying to provide teams for players who they're maybe not as active in the Ubers community, but they're very good players. So an easy example of this is someone like Solwind, who's teamed up with FC. FC is fantastic at managing and passing teams for players who are very good pilots. I tried doing that a few years back, and it exhausted me by like week 3. So our SV core doesn't have anyone who, you know, you're not going to put them into SPL tiebreakers, but they're all very competent players, and importantly, they're all active and going to talk and collaborate. So yeah, just a fair amount of flexibility with what we've got, and Dave is also an incredible DPP player who I think will be in DPP every single week. But aside from BW, RBY, GSC, DPP, I think there's a lot of flexibility for the actual placement of each slot, and I would be astonished if the lineup we've submitted week 1 is the only lineup we use throughout the season.
Yeah. So also a lot of your players are very good in the builder, I assume, and
I have a lot of faith in everyone we've picked up in the builder. Yeah.
Yeah. So next up, do you think there are any troublesome matchups in the weeks to come, or any teams you will be able to beat rather easily?
I'd never say we're able to beat any team easily, because that's the easiest way to motivate a group of players to really give it their all, isn't it? I think stylistically, FC is the team that is the most different to us in terms of what I said before about I can't support multiple slots, it just exhausts me. FC is incredible at picking up players like Gotcha and Soulwind and JJ or Jolie, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but incredible players who he provides incredible teams to. So this week 1 matchup is actually a really interesting stylistic choice, in my opinion, where we've got 2 almost completely different approaches to managing an Ubers tournament. And I don't think either is wrong. It's just a case of can you actually do the way that FC does? And I can't, he can, and he's proven he can. But they've certainly got the players who I think independently from an Ubers context have the highest skill in the tour. Like Solwyn's one of the best players ever. JJ is looking like he's going to be an incredible player too. Gotcha had, I think, a 10-1 SPL. But we've got activity and we've got the ability to really come together as a team. And yeah, that's the matchup that going into the tournament after the draft I was most keen on. And we're getting it week 1, which is almost I wanted to build up to it a bit more, especially like me versus FC. It's always a fun time playing FC, so wanted a little bit more of a build up, but alas, we're getting it over and done with immediately. I think the Dracovish are also a very, very good team with a lot of very good slots. So I'd say those 2 are the teams that I'm most looking forward to us playing, because those are going to be the weeks where I'm really keen on seeing how we do.
It's great to hear. So do you have any closing thoughts or anything you want to tell your competitors?
Closing thoughts. No. I'm very sorry, but my mind has gone completely blank at the end of that question. No, not much really. I think this is going to be a fantastic tournament regardless. I think every team has a lot of very good players, and I'm excited because this is the year where I've gone out of the draft without thinking, oh, this team could really struggle about any one particular team. So I think this will be a nice competitive environment. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the whole tour, basically.
So we've also heard that sentiment a lot, that every team here is very viable, very strong, and definitely a worthwhile challenger.
Sure.
And
for sure.
With that, thank you all for listening, and thank you, Aber, for being here for this interview. And with that,
no problem. Happy to.
Goodbye.
Bye.